I'll just begin here by spreading some Gorilla Glue onto this sort of hipped roof part here. I've already put roofing material on the other two sides, so there's just this one to finish off with. But we've now... Good evening, Chris. Did you watch the football? So yeah, I've already done this off camera. So I've just got one little sort of section to do now, and then I'm hopefully going to move on to the turret roofing. So rather than using a brush and getting it all gummed up, I'm just going to paint it on with a scrap bit of Foamex. Just feed a bit under there where it's not stuck down properly. That side's fairly solid. Probably a little bit overkill on the glue, I just want to make sure it sticks. Yes, progress has progressed. I've completely redone the roof since I started it last time. I was a little bit unhappy as to how it was looking. So what I've done is I've actually made a new bit of laser cut tiling. So I've engraved the tiling pattern straight onto the card here, and although it's not got the exact depth that you would have on overlapping tiles, can't really tell at this scale. So I decided to make it for I decided to compromise on a little bit of texture for the actual accuracy, because it was looking a little bit it was looking a little bit scruffy for my standards, and for a model of this detail it was just annoying me. So I ended up pulling the entire roof section off on the main part up there. So if you were following me on Twitter, you'll have seen that all completely demolished on Friday night, and I've completely re-roofed it. So it just needs painting properly again now. But I followed that same pattern onto the next gable over this side. So this has been completely roofed, as has this section here. I just need to trim the tops. But I took the opportunity to roof the adjacent building here, and I've actually glued it in place now. So we've got all the LED flashing installed down both sides, and now I'm just fitting that last little section of roofing. So I'm just trimming it to fit. And now I'm trying, because I've oversized it a little bit, I'm just trying not to cut it short. So what I need to do is create an angle from each side, and then that's going to be capped off with just a little ridge. Good evening, Georgia. How's Georgia doing? I made sure I had a fresh and brand new scalpel blade for this bit, because I don't want it tearing. So several light passes just to try and trim that there. Not too bad, thank you. Good evening to Kat. Good evening, Kat. Are you at work? Welcome along, everyone. I'm sorry I've not been around much. I've decided to give myself a little break, but I have been working a little bit off screen, off camera. I thought I'd just come on for a quick hour tonight after the football. There we go. nice neat hip there. So this just needs now a little cap putting on, and then I'm going to start tiling the turret piece. So for the turret, I can't do the same technique because it just won't wrap around a cone. So I'm going to go with my original self-adhesive tiles, which just going to have to be a bit careful doing it. Hello Linda, long time no speak. So still quite a bit of tidying up to do on the ridges, but let's see if we can get the turrets started. I did actually start tiling the turrets, but took it all back off again, as is my usual way. I've not been on very much recently, Linda, sorry. Just been a bit tired this last few weeks, so I've given myself a bit of a rest. But when I say giving myself a bit of a rest, I just can't put this down, so I haven't actually been on making, but I've been doing a bit of behind the scenes. This now needs filling. Now I've finally stuck it in. So self-adhesive tiles, I'm going to stick these on so it overlaps. The trick is I need to overlap it at a certain distance, and what I should really have done is mark it on with a pencil where I want my first one on. So I'm just going to sketch a line where I think I want it to put on. Oh, I'm glad you've missed me. I've missed you guys too. So now, because I'm following a cone or a circle, this isn't going to be very easy to wrap around, and I'm probably going to have to do it in sections. So I'll cut it off, start again. We'll see how we can go on. As you can see, it's just kind of mangling a little bit. It's not that easy to see what I'm doing. So I'll just do it back to front for now so I can just see where the overlap is. Once I've got the first one on, the rest will follow quite easily. I just want it to overhang by about the same amount all the way around. Now they are going to sort of spread apart a little bit. So is that you've got a lot of exams coming up this week, or you've done a lot already this last week? Nearly there. I'm just going to get to the overlapping part, so I'll just trim off that first bit. It's lost a little bit of its stickiness. And then we marry up there. Now, where was it joining up again? I've lost my overlap. Overlaps there. Oops. It's really, really sticky. Well, it's sticky to itself anyway. If it doesn't quite stick to the material it's supposed to stick to, it sticks to itself really well. So I should expect it to spread apart a little bit as you go around. England did win indeed. It was a bit of a scrappy win, but we won nevertheless. Right, that's the first one on. My next one is going to have to go exactly over the same point, but overlapping slightly. So I'll just cut myself off a few. Well, not a few. I'll have to do this one by one. So I'll cut myself off a new row of tiles. It's always a bit tricky to get the first one going because you can't peel it off the backing very well. So like I said, this next row needs to go exactly over the same row but overlapping as you would in a real life tiling environment. Like I say, it's just a little easier this time around because I'm following the line. You're in Catterick. What were you doing in Catterick? I've been through Catterick a couple of times, but never been to Catterick. Oh, you're on the way back from Newcastle. It's generally on the way back from somewhere up north. Now then, I've caught up, haven't I? So I'll just tear that bit off. Right, so essentially that's my first row. Oof, that's a long way, 850 miles. It's like when I went down to Devon. Completely different place. When I went down to Devon the other week, it wiped me out. I was exhausted for a week afterwards. So right, have you got someone to share the driving with you? Right, so the next proper overlapping row is next. I'm going to do the overlap by eye. So we want to be in the middle. It's going to be quite tricky as we go round the circle because of the nature of the circle. It's going to force it wide a little bit. To the point where it's starting to catch back up again, so I'm just going to have to do a little bit of manipulating, I think. I think in reality, to go around a circular tower, you'd have slightly bigger tiles as you went up. So I'm just going to have to keep breaking the strip every now and again just to try and ensure that I've got somewhat of an overlapping row. I'm going to do 3 rows of plain tiles and then I've got some more decorative ones, which you'll see if I get around to it. Catching up again there, so I'll tear it off. Not sure if I've been to Carlisle. So the moment it starts looking like it's catching up with the row underneath, I'll tear it off and just start to stagger it different. You're not missing much by not being to Huddersfield. That's under there that I'm catching up with. There's some nice parts of Huddersfield, there's some really beautiful rural parts, but some also grotty, not industrial, urban sections, like most inner cities or inner towns. It's a little bit run down in places. He was indeed. There was a statue of Harold Wilson outside the main railway station. Okay, so that's the point where it meets again. We'll meet again. Indeed we have. Oops, I didn't mean to tear that off. Right, I'll just use my thumbs to press that down a little bit better. Like I say, I've got 3 rows of plain tiles, and now I'm just going to do 3 rows of decorative tile. By decorative, it's kind of a half moon, half circle effect. It just adds a little bit of difference. And again, I've laser cut those, so I've got a pattern, but I've cut these in smaller strips. So this one might take a little bit longer to do, because I've done, like I say, I've done them in smaller sections. But even now we're still going to have a slight overlapping issue, because like I say, it's a tricky one getting around the curve. The curve changes the distance between all the spacing in the same way that you'd get the shorter lanes and longer lanes as you're going around a running track. So the inside spacing is a little bit closer together than the outside, which is why I'm having slight overlapping issues. I just have to use a bit of artistic license and overlap. A little bit more exaggeratedly as we go around. It's going to take a few of these. I'm going to do 3 rows of curved tiles. It shouldn't take too long to get to the top, relatively speaking. I'm joining up a little bit there, but I'm not too concerned, to be honest. Hello Sarah, you've been catching up, have you? There's a few bits that I've jumped forward on, but I'm glad you're keeping up. I have completely re-roofed it since the section that I showed the roofing on, but it's a fairly similar technique, except I've just used laser tiles this time instead of the paper ones that I'm using here. Yes, the roof. I pulled the roof apart on Friday night. Started again. But there we go. That's how the roof's looking at the moment. So I just rejigged it a bit. So now I'm just working on these conical towers. I'm using my laser cut tiles to do this. Yeah, so don't forget, if you want to follow me on YouTube, there is a recap of whatever I've streamed on TikTok. I've uploaded it to YouTube. I'm doing it sort of episodically. So if you're interested in the build in general, I how it's been going along. I've been, like I say, I've been posting updates on YouTube to show the progress. Thank you for the rose cat. I have done quite a bit. I raced on quite early on, and then I seem to have hit a bit of an impasse in progress. I think probably because I've wasted about a week trying to get this roof sorted. So this week will see me finishing off all the roof sections of the bits that I've done, and then starting to look at putting on the extra wall sections that I'm still missing, extra buildings. There's still a little bit of stone carving to do in places, especially where it goes around corners. I've got a little bit of cornerstone, coin stone work to do. No, I wasn't feeling so good. I was feeling really run down. I don't know, I'm still not feeling 100%. I'm just like feeling really drained all the time. It's hard to explain. It's just like a weariness. That's gone up too high, I think. Oh no, it's too low there. That's why it looks wrong. Yes, I just felt really weary and not really up to live streaming. I've done a bit, like I say, I've done a bit of work behind the camera, off the camera, but I've just not really felt up to talking as I go, so yeah, it does sound like I need a holiday. Don't get one though. The trouble is, if I take some time off and I'm at home, I don't take any time off, I just carry on doing stuff. I have had a bit of time to myself today though. The family, well, my lad was out at work and the ladies were off visiting, so I stayed at home. I did a bit of work tidying the garage, and then I sat and watched a film. And then of course me and my son have watched the England match this evening. And I thought I better get a little bit of roofing work done. So I just wanted to come on and start some work on the tower. There is a smaller surface area to cover each time I come up. Wasn't the best of football matches, to be absolutely honest. Typical England, really. Start off fairly well and then just fade off. Still, it's a win. You can't grumble with that. Sorry about all the creaking, it's just my chair. It's a little creaky side when I lean forward. It was, wasn't it? I'd kind of, I'd wandered off to go and do some stuff at half time, and then when I came back in it was kind of like, oh, have we kicked off? Mind you, I think Serbia played much better in the second half as well, so there was a bit of that to contend with. I felt sorry for our friend Leah on Friday night, who sat down to watch the Scotland game, and I don't think it was quite the result she was hoping for. Alright, I'm pretty much there now on this row. So it's back to straight tiles now. Yeah, they were rather good though, weren't they, Germany? So I think they're possibly one of the teams to look out for this championship. It was the hair traps there that I've ended up ripping off the whole strip instead of just a bit there, alright? Back to the straight strips again. Hey Kay, how's Kay doing? We had a good weekend. Yes, go and do some revision. That's a good idea. Very sensible dad you've got there. Good luck this week. Hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. It's been a bit of a relaxing weekend. Yesterday was a bit of a damp squib, so I just spent the afternoon really just hiding from the rain and binge watching. I decided to watch Three Body Problem on Netflix, and I ended up binge watching the entire series. And now I'm in that problem of having to wait for the next series to start or to be made. I hate it when that happens. This is why I don't like watching series. I like to watch something that concludes to a conclusion. I don't like having to wait to find out what happens, or running the risk of getting into a series and then finding out it's been cancelled, so the story never actually gets finished. That's why I prefer films. I also don't like series having to committing to the time. I did watch Stranger Things 4 though, because my kids are into Stranger Things, so I watched it with them. Although I only managed to watch halfway through season 4 with my daughter before she went to uni. I ended up having to try and catch up with the rest of it on my own. And most of the time I'm on here doing this, so I don't usually have a lot of time for watching TV. But I was sat making roofs and watching Netflix yesterday. So there wasn't enough to kind of document on film. It was kind of going back over what I'd done, but in a slightly different way. I can't really remember the last thing I watched that got cancelled that I was frustrated with, but there have been a few. There's been a few series I've got into and then they've just stopped. Quite a few science fiction type things. There was an Atlantis spin-off. Have you ever watched Stargate? No, it was Atlantis. There was another Stargate spin-off. I've forgotten what it's called now. I think it was only one series. It had that Scottish guy on it. I've forgotten his name. He was in Trainspotting, and it wasn't Ewan McGregor. It's the one who played Begbie. I've forgotten his name. Come on, somebody tell me the actor's name. He was also in The Full Monty. Hello, my roof tiles. Well, I've got two different types of roof tiles going on in this building. What I'm using right now are some self-adhesive labels that I've laser cut, and the roof tile behind is just straight laser cut onto card. Am I on the fourth row here? Yes, I am. I've not caught up yet. So I've just got rows and rows of self-adhesive paper label tiles that I'm just painstakingly sticking on in circles. I'm having to keep tearing it off and try and re-stagger it because it's a circle, it's not meeting up all the way around properly. So every now and again it kind of catches up and meets up, lines up with each other as opposed to overlapping. So I just have to do a bit of artificial overlapping. Well, thank you very much. Oh, that's that Harlan Coben novel, isn't it? I don't know if I fancied that or not. I'm not, like I say, I'm generally not too bothered about series, but my friend started watching. She texted to say that she started watching that, so I thought, oh, I will as well. I've got some time. I'm not being hassled by anyone, and it's raining, so I can't do anything outside. So I think I'll just sit down here and watch. But I ended up having a really late night because I wanted to watch the rest of the series. But that's it for now, until it starts again. I'll definitely have to watch the series when it starts up again, but no more series for me right now. It should hopefully get a little bit quicker as I get towards the top. I cut all these with little supporting tabs so we don't end up with ribbons. So I just have to trim those tabs off each time I come to a new row. And then just peel the first one off. It all comes away. I'm going to put another row of decorative curved tiles on, but not till we get towards the top. Like I said, these labels are really super sticky, especially to skin, so if you just slightly touch it, it sticks to your finger, and it has a tendency to end up stuck onto your finger instead and tearing off. It's card on card, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Sorry, it should stick fairly well. Or should I say it's paper on card. We're just getting overlapping, not working so well right now. It's a little bit trickier the higher you go up because of the tightness of the curve changing, so you have to keep tearing it off a bit more often. Trying to find a suitable place to start the next row. That's just curled in on itself and stuck to itself, so I've had to throw that rest of that away. Just a little bit left here. Quite a long row done before a long run before I had to tear it off and start again. And that bit's stuck to the table. Like I say, it's quite sticky. The further we go up, the more solid this is starting to get. Still not even halfway up yet, but the rows are getting shorter as we go up. I think I'm going to set myself a target of finishing this conical tower and then I'll call it a night, because it's Sunday and I need to get some sleep. Sadly, this is not what I do all day, and I've got a day job to wake up for. See, that one was a bit quicker. Even quicker to do this so I didn't have to keep breaking off to cut more pieces. But I can't really pre-peel them because of the sticky nature of it. They just end up all stuck to each other. So just all really enthralled by my tiling. Just got to go all the way around and persuade it to stick a bit better because it's on a slope. time I break it off like that, it's because I've got it tangled up in my fingers. Detangle. Slowly getting there, about halfway now. It'll look much better when it's painted. Right, I'm just going to do another 3 rows of curved tiles. I'll just press these ones down a little bit better before I carry on. I'm gasping for a drink. Is everybody going to put the kettle on? This is taking a lot longer than I imagined. I might have to call it short. It's either finish the roof or midnight, whichever one happens first. Good evening, Chris. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How are you? We had a good weekend. We're having a family barbecue next weekend, come rain or shine. So I had to go in the garage today and try and find it. So I had a bit of an impromptu garage sort out, in so much that I rejigged it so I could get to the barbecue. Tired most days, yeah, me too. Kind of had to force myself to come on tonight for a bit, but I was determined to get on with the turret roof instead of just procrastinating over it as I've been doing for the last few days. Afternoon naps, good on you. Afternoon naps are the best. I've had the afternoon to myself today, so I did a bit of chores, and then I did a bit of sitting around watching films, just because I can. No, I didn't watch that. I watched the 2024 version of Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal. I told myself I wasn't going to watch it because there's nothing better than the Patrick Swayze version, but I actually really enjoyed it. So there you go. Although it does make me want to watch the Patrick Swayze version now, but I'm not paying $5.49 or whatever it is to watch the paid version. It seems ridiculous when you pay subscriptions to streaming services and then have to pay to watch something. That's kind of against the point, isn't it? I watched the footy as well, yes. So I watched the football this evening, and then I sat down here and stared at this model for like about 20 minutes before I decided I was going to come on and do some live streaming. Do need a holiday. Not going to get one, but I do feel like I need a forced break from everything for a week. I'm kicking myself, feeling like I've been very unproductive this year so far. But I know I haven't. I've completed some very big projects, but I've worked very, very hard to get them done. But yeah, I feel like I could really do with a forced break. Just for a week, exactly. We have a week in Centre Parks booked next month, but I'm not going to be going because we need someone to dog sit, and just can't really leave him with anyone else. Plus the fact that it's stupidly expensive putting all the cats through kennels, so I'm going to stay at home and do the dog sitting and animal sitting whilst everyone goes away. Right, that's it for the curved tiles. Good evening, Dave. How are you doing? I'm just going to try and finish this conical roof. Your bro's in too. Oh, your bro's in France for 2 weeks. That's nice for you, brother. Not so nice for you. I suppose you've got your Germany trip to look forward to in October. Not too bad, Dave. I've had a bit of a relaxing weekend again, doing very little. Although when I say I do very little, I've been re-roofing, but whilst watching stuff on Netflix at the same time, so it's been kind of a casual bit of working. I've really enjoyed the fact that it's been raining this weekend. It's kind of a perfect excuse to sit and do nothing, or do little. I like ripcord. You could pretend you've got cold as well and be cord on the cob. Concord. Exactly. Or you could be cord EL. I'm glad I decided to do this off the roof as opposed to trying to circle around it when it was stuck in place. I don't think I'd have managed. going to press it down a bit better. The further we go up, the harder it is to stick. Once we get to the very top, it's capped off with a kind of finial, which I have yet to figure out how I'm going to make. I might make it out of polymer clay or air drying clay. But I think it might be a combination of a cocktail stick and polymer clay. But I have to familiarise myself with the design yet and work out what is the best way of doing it. Another R wipe what? What does that mean? Lots of bits of paper stuck to my thumb now, which is making sticking down a bit trickier. Let's get them stuck off. Let's get them peeled off. And then we just need to try and finish this off. 11:45. Not too bad. Yes, I've redone the whole roof. I'll show you in a second. Well, in a minute. Basically, I was not very happy with how neat it was looking. A bit like this conical roof here, which I've decided this is just going to look a little bit rustic. But for the rest of it, it wasn't as neat as I would have liked. So I ended up pulling the whole lot off and starting again. But I've cut a special etched laser version, just cutting it on card and not overlapping it, so it's got the, just pan up there, it's got the appearance of tiles but not being fully overlapped. You can see here, this is the painted one, this is the unpainted one. I've just stuck this on tonight, so to the casual glance it does look like a tiled roof, a fully tiled roof. So I've done this gable here, both sides, and I've done both sides of this gable. I just need to trim the top off and paint this one. And then I stuck that one on last night. I'm just working on sticking paper strips onto this roof, and then I'll get that stuck in place. And then I can move around to the other side and start building the extra bits of walls. But the other thing I've done the last few days is just finish off these windows here and glue the roof down. So all the windows are in place. Just need to tidy up those towers also. So I just wanted to get on with the conical roof tower, conical turret roof, so I could get that in place. rather than have the roof formers visible as they have been for so long. It does. It sometimes really annoys me. I tell it to shut up, but it just shouts harder and louder. I lie in bed at night sometimes thinking, oh, I really need to remake that. I don't want to, but I need to. I know, that's the thing, you see. I've wasted a week. I've wasted a week on my with my sort of perfectionist side. Just no, that's good enough, carry on. But now I had to go and peel it all back off again. No, this is 150 scale. I wanted to go a bit bigger with this one because of the amount of detail on it. It really needed to be shown off in a bigger scale. You know, like all the little moulding details around the windows, etc. that had just been lost on 176 scale with a rough representation. So I said to the client, you'd be much better off with a 150 scale, and he was happy to agree. Although it does make for a huge model. There's not an awful lot of base with this one, but there are still two sort of large sections to make at the rear. So it is going to be about as big as my cutting mat, if not slightly bigger in the end. Sorry if I keep shifting off camera. It's getting a little tricky now, it's getting towards the top. Sorry guys, my son's just dropped in with a belated Father's Day present. He was working earlier this morning, so it was a bit of a rush. So I just muted because he just walked in to give me a very giant cookie. It's a bit late for cookies. Or is it? It's nearly bedtime. What I want to do is finish this and possibly get a quick coat of paint on it. One more layer, I think. I know it's nearly midnight. I just told myself I wanted to get this finished. I don't want to leave it sort of half done, there's no point, is there? So just a few more tiles to go right to the top, and then it'll be time to go. The top is going to have a little cap added to it. It's almost cartoonish in its roughness now. I'm quite happy with it. It's a very tricky type of roof to do. Where did I put my scalpel? There it is. Let me just pan down a minute. I'm just trying to get this corner, not corner, top done. Just slice into it a little. Seal the deal with a little super glue. And we'll just move up if we can. It might need a little bit of persuasion to fit in the right place, but that's how we're going. Oops, that super glue is now sticking to my finger. Right, so like I said, I just wanted to get a quick coat of paint on it. I think. So I'm going to use some Vallejo medium grey, watered down a little. And hopefully the paint will hide a multitude of sins. Just switch to a slightly bigger brush to get it covered quicker. Right, and there you have it. It's not glued down, but it's starting to take shape now. I'd never thought about foam cone, but it'd been a matter of trying to find the right kind of diameter, wouldn't it? So I know it's kind of a long way round of doing it that I did it, but it I think it worked in the end. It was just yeah, it'd have been far more easier doing a 3D print or something like that, but I found a solution in the end. Just going to give a quick coat of grey while I've got the paint out. There's no point wasting the paint. Just going to scrub over these tiles very loosely and very thin, because I don't want all those little gaps filling in. So I'm just scrubbing over a very thin layer of grey paint. It's showing the brown of the card underneath a bit, but I'll go over with another thin coat afterwards. Well, not immediately afterwards, but when it's dry, I'll go over with another thin coat again, and a wash of black to pick out those indents. The engraver's done a really nice job of engraving a pattern into it. So what I had to do with the cones is I've used an online cone generator where it does the maths for you. You just input the height that you want and the diameter, and it will generate a cone wrap shape. It's not been 100% accurate, but a lot more accurate than it would have been trying to do it by eye. It's a lot trickier making a cone than you'd think. So I've just made a few formers in the form of triangles to make the interior support structure, and then I've wrapped the generated cone shape around those former pieces, which has ultimately ended up with a nice cone shape. And so I was just going to use up the paint that I'd done, but now I'm halfway through. I have to put on a little bit more paint, just so I can finish off this side. Don't want to leave it half done. Like I say, I've still got to trim. Still got to trim the top yet. Right, that will do me for tonight. I've both had enough and I'm tired. But we've got the conical roof done, so that's how we're looking at the moment. It's starting to look a lot better. Yes, it's a turret. There's the turret there and a turret there. I've got to do the same in smaller shape. But let me just pull back a little bit more so you can see the full thing. It's not glued in place yet, but it's just balancing. I've got to blend this in yet properly, which I haven't done. But it's glued in place now, so I can kind of move it like that. I just spin it round. It's looking like that at the other side. So this building's now in place with the basic roof down. I could have painted that as well, couldn't I? And it's still got the capping to do. Then the next stage on this bit will be to fit the floor, but I have another building yet that comes out this way. So that part is almost complete now. I just need to glue the turret on proper and then stick a wash onto it, stick it down, a bit more painting, and this bit's almost done. Right, I'm going to call it a night now. It's past midnight, yeah, it's a huge build. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and if you haven't seen it, go check out my YouTube channel, and I'll be posting the progress on this one on there tonight or tomorrow. See you later, guys, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday night.